Hi everybody, it's Lene. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. You let me know in last week's video how much you love file folders, so I've got another one for you, another file folder craft, and we're going to be pairing that file folder with Plaids and Pumpkins 12 by 12 patterned cardstock. It's absolutely beautiful. It's brand new. It's available at Paper Wishes and it's by Hot Off the Press. We'll take a look at that in a minute. So here's the little inspiration piece. This is how we're folding the file folder. We're going to fill this, it's a journal with pockets. We're going to fill this with some coffee dyed paper. And my thought for this is it's a little autumn journal. You could use it as a recipe file sort of situation for gifting. I just think it's going to really capture the season with this beautiful paper pack. All right, so as you can see, a super easy fold. This is going to be very beginner friendly. This is what it's going to look like right from the start. Okay, the little tab can go, let's see, it could go at the top left, the middle, probably not the bottom. I mean, probably not the right-hand side, just because it's going to get in the way of things being cut away. So yeah, you can use those middle tabs and you can use the ones that are on the top left. And of course, you can always flip it around and make this tab go in either direction. We'll show you how to do that. So yeah, it's just like this, and we're going to do some simple scoring here and here, and then we're going to cut off a little notch, and it's just going to be really, really easy. And then the coffee dyed paper, you guys, I did a short little video of this last year, and I'll attach that down below the video and at the end of the video with a little link. But coffee dyeing, just regular like copy paper, printer paper, is so easy to do. I love putting it in journals because, you guys, it smells great, okay? And it also gives you these really interesting patterns. So love doing that. This one was at the bottom of the cookie sheet where I was drying it in the oven. And you could also dry it like on newspapers on your countertop. I just don't have that much counter space, so I like to dry it in the oven. And that little 4 to 5 minute video I have is very explanatory. I'm also not packing it full with as much of the paper as we could, just because I got to ship this to my winner. And if you stick around, you'll learn how one lucky winner can win this. So stay tuned to the end. All right, so let's get some before we do our measurements, let's look at this paper pack. It's gorgeous. All right, so Plaids and Pumpkins 12 by 12 pattern cardstock. Look at the beautiful plaids and the really charming pumpkins. They're very vintage looking, which I love. And then on the back, this really bold plaid. And look at this very happy scarecrow. Nothing scary about that scarecrow. And then the pumpkin and the squash and the little crow, and then all the beautiful sunflowers. And then on the back again, we've got a really cool plaid. This one, we've got our like traditional yellow sunflowers here. And I love this one. It's got a border here and here. And then on the back, it's got kind of a golden plaid. And then this one, I love the owl and the fall harvest. Some more of those vintage looking pumpkins, the leaf border, and then at the top edge with the pumpkins. And the crow over here as well. And then on the back, we've got this really beautiful leaf print. All right, and then we've got a sheet of cutouts. And then on the back of this, just a really pretty, it's kind of a creamy white color with little flowers and little leaves and things. And then this one is our little cut apart. We like to call them little card toppers, but I love sticking them in little journals. And then there's little borders right here. And then a nice plaid as well. All right, so let's get on to the folding part, and then I'm going to pick out a paper or two to put on the inside. So here is the fold. It's very, very simple. So we're going to start with, here's our file folder like this. Now, I have a file folder where the tab is on the right side, but I want it to be on the left side. So all I have to do is turn this inside out like this. It's okay if there's printing on it, it's going to get covered. And then just turn it over. All right, so turn it inside out and then flip it over. and then you'll have the little tab on the correct side for this project. So for this one, we're going to do a little scoring. As you can see here, I did a couple little score practices on here. Now this side, if you measure from the tab, is almost 3 1/4, and then this side is 3. So they're not evenly folded inside, okay? Because I was really paying attention to the center fold line so that when you fold everything together, this meets. So this fold and this edge right here on the right, that's the most important part. These can be a little off. So let's see. Let's get some measurements for you. So from the, I keep saying so a lot, I'm sorry. All right, from the right side, it's 3 3/4 of an inch. Get something to write down. Okay, and then left. And notice I'm measuring them from the widest point and not just the top part. And then that's 3 inches. All right, and then the bottom, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. It's just a wicked one. And that's like, oh gosh, just under 2 1/2. So we're gonna call it 2 3/8. All right, now you can absolutely just fold these up like this. I'm going to use my scoreboard. Where's my scoreboard? Here we go. All right, now I'm just going to put it up just like this on the edge, and then I'm just going to score all the way down. From the left, we are going 3 inches. Let me see all this in here. All right, till we get this folded, we're dealing with a really large area, so I had to pull my camera way back. All right, 3 inches there. And then you're just gonna fold it in and then use your bone folder, a butter knife, whatever you've got. We want that fold to be really sharp fold so that this flap lays down flat. If you're not really going over that scored line, so it's just really flat, it's gonna pop up too much. All right, so now this one, I'm just gonna fold this, or turn this over rather, and we're going to just score this one on this edge. So this one is 3 3/4 of an inch. All right, here. And then we're gonna fold this one on the inside as well. All right, so this is now going to fold together and be nice and even on this side. And the final width of this is 5 3/4 of an inch wide. Now let's take care of the bottom edge. So that's 2 5/8, 2 3/8. All right, so here's my 2 1/2 inch mark right here. So I'm just below my 2 1/2 inch mark. And I'm going to score this. I have a 12-inch wide scoreboard, so I'm going to go down as far as I can, and then I'm going to flip it, and then I'm going to go meet it on this direction right there. All right, so now we're done with this. And then let's fold this up. There we go. All right, so all the folding is done, but now we do need to cut away a little bit. We have to cut away, excuse me, we have to cut away the left and the right corners. I'm going to put a little ink on these. Wow. You have to put a little ink on these so you guys can see where we're cutting. There we go. That shows up better. You can use your paper trimmer to do this. You can use your big scissors to do this. And I've just lost my big scissors, so I'll be right back. Scissors. So I'm going to cut these little corners away. Just like that. Hold on to these. We might use them. You never know. There we go. So this is going to fold, the bottom's going to fold up, and then these little flaps go like this. Now, we can do one of two things here. You can do it like this and glue these flaps right here so they're little pockets, or you can fold this over and you can glue here and here so you have side pockets here. But then this, okay, this would be problematic, and then you would have to fold this up every time. I don't know about that. You could glue this at the top and the bottom, and then you could glue this here, okay, in which case you would have a little tuck spot here and a little tuck spot here. That's not something I'm interested in doing, so I'm going to glue this one here, and then these are just going to be fold out flaps, and we're going to do something cool on both sides. The first thing we're going to do is look at the paper I've chosen. So of course, these beautiful vintage looking pumpkins, and then these as well. I love this one, especially with the little fall harvest. So cute with the owl. And I thought, how cute would that be to put on the front? This paper is really going to be doing the work for us on decorating. We really aren't going to have to do much as far as decorating the pages, because this paper is so beautiful and just heavily patterned, and it's going to be really fun. So that'll be great. I am going to do a little inking on the edges, and I've got my appropriate roasted pumpkin ink pad. I'm just going to use the surface of this, and I'm just going to go over all of those little edges like that. And you can kind of go in probably 1/4 inch using the surface, just like that. There we go. And I'm going to finish doing that, and I'll be right back. All right, so I've done most of my inking. Wasn't sure what I was going to do with this part here, so I didn't ink all of the edges here or the inside, because I might just cover them completely. But let's give you the actual finished dimensions of this base piece for our journal. It's 5 3/4 inch wide and 9 1/4 inches tall, right? And then this paper, I know I'm going to use the owl right here, and I think I'm going to use this pumpkin border here along that edge. I think that would just be really, really sweet. So let's cut this down. First thing I'm going to do is cut the pumpkin border off, because I know I'm going to cut the rest of this paper down to 9 inches tall. All right, so that I do know. Let's try it this way. And don't worry, I'm going to write these things down for you. Okay, I think that's going to be a really pretty border on the inside. All right, so now this is going to look like that. It's going to fit with a nice little border all the way around, because we did it to 9 inches tall. And then let's just see how wide we want to make it. Probably, see, the dimension of that is 5 3/4. Let's go 5 1/2. Okay, that's going to fit really nicely, and we're going to do the same to the back. So we went 5.5 by 9. That's the dimensions for our covers. And then this one, I just love this side of it. So let's just turn this one over to save this edge. Got that little piece we'll save. There we go. So this is going to go right there. And I think we're going to take just a little darker color. This is cocoa bean. And I'm just going to use the surface of this as well. And just to put a little ink on the edges. You never have to do the inking on the edges if that's just not something you like to do. That's just a personal preference. I think it adds to the project, but you know, if you're a beginner and you don't have all these ink pads, then don't sweat it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Use what you have. There we go. I think this side is dark enough. I don't have to really add anything to it. Let's move this out of the way. All right, so front cover and back cover. I think that's just going to look really fun and very sweet. Now, before we glue these down, let's talk about what kind of closure we're going to do on this. We could add a little ribbon and tuck that right under there, and then on the back as well, and then just have a nice little ribbon closure. That's always really nice. We could add a little flap to go around this and have a little Velcro dot closure as well. We could just wrap this with a little bit of elastic string, and that could be our closure as well. I think I'm going to go with the ribbon, which is way across the room, so hold on a second. I keep my ribbon, oh, just a second, gotta put my mic back on. I keep my ribbon in a really big jar. It's one of those giant jars that's like, I don't even know how big it's, about 18 inches tall and about 12 inches wide. And it just sits in my little studio space. And it just makes me happy. It's not very functional because you have to dig through it. This one, fortunately, was on top. But it just makes me happy. My husband asks me all the time, is that hard to get in and out of there? I'm like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I think I'm going to go for a full 24 inches of this, just so we have enough to tie. Oh, that is the last of this beautiful ribbon. Oh, that makes me a little sad. Okay, I'm gonna have to find some more. I just love this. I bought this years ago at Joann Fabrics, I think. Rest in peace, Joann Fabrics. All right, so we're gonna just take a 12-inch length, and we're just gonna glue it right there, and then these covers are gonna go right over that. And then let's open a new bottle of glue. I like to use Cosmic Shimmer glue, but you know what? Use your favorite. If you like to use a tape runner, then by all means, that's the best for you. Okay. Just a little bit right here. Whoa, this is a fresh bottle and it's coming out really fast, so. Let's kind of do that. Just a little bit on the center there. Don't want to get that upside down. And we're just going to place that . Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, and then we're going to take this piece and just glue it right across there. I think we're just going to cover the whole thing. So actually I'm going to glue that right now so that it has time to dry, and then I'll trim it with you guys. So I didn't need to worry about, you know what, I'm totally going to change my mind on that. I'm not going to put glue across that. Didn't mean to do that. We're going to cut this piece into 2 pieces. So this glue is really premature. So let's measure. Sorry about that, everybody. So probably, let's just do it this way. And the reason I don't want to cover this piece is it would affect the folding of it. There we go. I think we're saved. And then I'm going to just trim this one. There's always a way. Don't panic. A little bit more glue on the center there. And then this one could just go right there. And you'll notice I'm just not leaving that little space around the edges like I did on the front. I'm just gluing this right up along the edge. And then once this dries, we'll cut it down a little bit. Pocket is dry, so let's turn this over. Both sides of the cover are done here. And I'm just going to take my scissors and just trim this paper even with the bottom edge. There we go. Hold on to those little bits. So this fits nicely. And then for this piece, time for a drink of water. All right. For this piece, we're going to add just solid cardstock. It's the coordinating cardstock that goes with this paper pack. Because frankly, I don't want to waste any of the beautiful plaids and things on this, and this is barely going to show. So I've cut it to the exact same size, 5.5 inches wide by 9 inches tall. Okay. And then we're going to glue these in. Boy, my glue is super runny. I wonder what's going on with that. And then lining these all the way down inside the pocket, because it's not going to show. The reason I'm doing that is because it will just make the whole thing more sturdy from the outside. So now this little journal is going to be much more sturdy because it's got layers of this on it. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and just put a little line of glue on each side here. I think we'll go ahead and leave this part open in the middle so it doesn't affect the folding of that. You know, what I forgot to do, I think we want to just trim a tiny little bit from each side so it's not affecting the folding. Like that much. So tiny. I'm just getting ahead of myself today. Okay, let's try that. Much better. Okay. Now, the kind of two last things we need to worry about are just this inside piece right here and this piece. So I do want to put something really decorative here, and then something here, maybe little like side pockets or something going down the inside. So maybe we just really focus on, this plaid is on the back of this one. Maybe we just do something really like this, and then we do a pocket or something on the inside here, or we could do that and then leave that for writing, to label things. I think that's a good idea. All right, so if we're gonna leave this little protrusion without any paper on it, which you can cover it with paper, we're just gonna do a little bit more inking on it like this. There, and we'll do the same on this side. Okay. And then this piece is just going to get glued right here. So we're going to cut it to the width of this, which is 2.5 inches wide. Yeah, I think that's gonna look really pretty. And we're gonna ink the edge of that. Where did I put my brown ink pad? Here we go. Just a little bit of this brown ink, just to give it a little contrast there. And on the other side. All right. Now, you guys tell me, do you think this is a better scene to look at right here, or the tops of the pumpkins with the plaid here? I'm kind of inclined to go up here, okay, which means Lene needed to ink a little bit higher. All right, let's try it out. So what we're going to do is just put some glue here on these corners along the edge here. All right, and then this part, we're going to go right here. This part right here is a little tricky, so I'm going to put my glue here on the paper because I don't want extra glue going where I don't want it to go, like right down here. There we go. We're just going to square that up with the edges. Whoa, talking about glue squishing out. That's exactly what I didn't want to happen. Okay, there we go. And then this little part right up here, you can either leave that part, or you could just take your tiny scissors and just cut that even with the edges, just like that. Okay, and then you can hand write something there. We could put a little sticker there. We'll figure that part out later. Now we're gonna do the other side. And then we have the same question. Do we feature parts of the pumpkins here? Which I really like. Just like that. We're not going to get them all. It's going to cut off part of this. But I'm sort of inclined to do this one. So let's measure again. That is going to be 3 1/4. Don't worry, I'm going to write these down when we're done with this one. Okay. Just like that. All right, so that was 2.5, ooh, was it 2.5? Yes, 2.5 inches wide. And then the right was 3 1/4. wide. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this one down and then figure out what I'm doing on the insides, and then we're gonna put the papers in, and then we'll be done. All right, for the inside flap, remember we had this little piece left over, okay, from the cute little pumpkin part. So for this one, we're going to be working on the right hand inside flap. For that one, we're gonna cut our paper to 3 1/4 inches wide. And I just cut a strip that's 3 1/4 of an inch, 3 1/4 of an inch by, oh gosh, we're not gonna use this whole length. So let me tell you how big it is when we cut it off here. We're gonna go ahead and put it like that. Okay, we need to ink that edge again. I keep forgetting to do that. Oops, this one's brown. Look at your ink color before you put it on, Lene. There we go. Have you guys ever done that when you're doing stamping and you grab the wrong color? All right. So I think we're only going to use, let's see, about 6 inches of this. So I'm going to trim this down. I'll give you the dimensions. Okay. So this piece, we're working on our inside flaps. All right, and so one is going to be, the right is going to be 3 1/4 inch wide by 6. Okay, and then we're gonna glue that right there. And then I cut what was left of that little pumpkin out. It's also 3 1/4 of an inch wide. And then this one is 3 1/2. So it's 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And then I'm gonna take a little, this is a little 1 1/2 inch circle punch. We're just gonna put a little notch because this is going to be a little pocket. I'm only using about 1/3 of the punch, trying to keep the space on the left and the right equal. Just like that, and that's gonna go right here. Ooh, I just barely got that, you guys. I cut that little, not quite where I wanted to. It's okay, we can fix it. Can always fix it when you go in too far with your punch. All right, so the first thing, let's do this. Let's glue this down. We're making sure to stay away from that folded edge. We don't want to get involved in that. Right here, we want to make sure that's still working. And this right here, that's where I went a little awry. So let's make this 6 1/2 inches, just so you guys don't have that same issue. And I'm just going to cut off about another 1/2 inch here from the piece that I originally worked on. Was that the piece I originally worked on? I'm trying to match my plaid up. No. Must be this one. All right, we're not going to worry about matching the plaid up. So if all else fails, we just patch it. Oh yeah, that worked. Okay, no harm. All right, now this one, remember, was 3 1/4 by, what did we say, 3 1/2. And we did the little notch, so now we're just gonna put a really thin line of glue right there. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Same dimensions and everything except for the width of this one on the left. Okay, so we're going to start up here and we're going to cut this piece. So for the left side, we're going to cut that piece to 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches wide, and then by 6.5. And then we're going to do the little pocket part is going to be 2.5 by 3.5. Hope you guys can read that. Let's talk about the coffee dyed pages that are going to go inside. I just used 8.5 by 11 printer paper and followed those tips and tricks I gave you in the little video that I'm attaching below this one and also at the end. So you can just click on that. It's about 5 minutes long and it just tells you how to do this process. It's very simple, and as I said, it smells great, so it's really nice to put in a journal or a little book you're going to be using often. I also like to add a little hand stamping to my pages because once they're dry and I folded them in half, short sides together, then I just take my bone folder, my butter knife, and I just really go over that fold to flatten out that page as most as I can, okay? And then I have these stamps. I've had them forever. I think I got them on Temu, and you can't get these anymore, but any pumpkin stamp would work great. And so I just have some individual pumpkins. I have a larger one and a smaller one, and I'm going to use my roasted pumpkin ink. My little tip to fast stamping, if you're using an acrylic block, is I put one of these on one side at the end, and then I turn it over and I put one on the other side on the end. All right, and then I'll ink it, put a little ink on that one. Let's start with one I haven't used. Use a little scrap piece of paper, and then with the stamp on this part, go ahead, and I like to extend it off the edge of my pages, and you're just kind of random stamping the single pumpkin on the edge. Some of them are going to be whole pumpkins, some are going to be half. So that's done here. I did 4, and now I'm going to do the same thing with the larger pumpkin, inking that, and then just going in between. And as I said, don't be afraid to go off the edge a little bit or go in a little bit, and it's just sort of giving you this tumbling pumpkin look like that. Now, you do not need to do this on every page. You could just open this up, use the larger pumpkin, and just do that in the corner of every page, or every other page, or every third page. All right, so that's my little tip for that. And then what you're going to do is just take, now my papers have like little, like heavily dyed splotched, they have little tears in the corners of them from when I was lifting them off the cookie tray when they were wet. That's great. It just adds the distressed look. And I'm just going to start by layering them like this, sandwiching them really. There we go. And there's several ways that you could use to bind this into your book. And we're going to go through all the little finished items I've put in here when we're done. All right, so you could just take this and you could secure it with some clamps, and you could do a little 3-hole pamphlet stitch. That would be great to attach this. But I am going to use my stapler. And my stapler is just a really nice beginner way to do this. And it's a swivel stapler. You can find this in my Amazon store, and I just love it so much. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my clamps, and we're going to clamp this down, and then we're going to staple it in. I got these pink little clamps at the Dollar Tree, and there's 4 for $1. A great deal over in their craft section. Yeah, run, don't walk. Go ahead and get those. They're just really nice. They come in 2 different sizes. And I'm just going to attach them like this. So I'm kind of away from the folded part because I want to have room for my stapler. And then I also make sure that when I'm getting ready to secure this, that these fold lines match up with the fold lines in my book. All right, so the swivel stapler is different than a regular stapler. A regular stapler can only go in this far as that little neck will let you reach. But a swivel stapler can go like this, and then you can just go right to that fold line. Actually, we're going to turn it over. I always forget this part. I like to put the smooth side of the staple on the outside and the little pokey sides on the inside so it doesn't catch on things on your clothing when you're holding it. If you're wearing a sweater and you've ever had a staple catch on it, you know what I mean. So we're going to take this and we're going to go in about 1.5 inches, and I'm right on the line. And you might need 2 hands to do this. I'm going to put this down. Hold on, it's probably going to rock my table a little bit. There we go. See, it's right there. And then it's secured on the inside. So we're going to do that on both ends. Okay, that's all you need. That's all you need. Now let's take these out. And then these little pieces right here, those little pokey parts, you could take your bone folder or your butter knife and just push them down so that they're flat. There we go. Now these flaps can go over like this, but then they tend to stick up a little bit. So let's just do this. All right, so we're done. Let's take a little flip through. On the front here, I put a 3.5 inch brown like craft paper doily. You can get these at paperwishes.com, and I'll put the link down below my video. All my supplies are either from paperwishes.com or from Amazon. So there's 2 titles for those down below the video in the description box, and then all the links are below those. So this is one of the cutouts from the cutout page. That's all I really feel like this needs, because when you tie this, you're gonna have this really beautiful bow, and I think that's just such a nice decoration. And I'm also gonna make sure I cut my ribbon at an angle so it doesn't come, you know, like fray, like that. Now when we open this, we have our little flap here, and then right here, a little pocket. Here's some little cutouts that I added. Here are those little topper cutouts. I'm gonna add those right here. Here's all of our little stamped papers. This smells so great, like a fresh cup of coffee. And then another one here, and then here. And then I left these spots blank because I wanted to keep this really generic for whoever wins this, you guys. So this is how we work our, time for another drink of water. This is how we work our giveaway. So if you are watching my YouTube channel and you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, then watch next week's video. There'll be a pop-up announcing a winner. You may have noticed that in today's video that there's a pop-up announcing a winner. Well, that was last week's video winner. And it's just fun to see if your name pops up, right? So you have to watch, first of all, like, comment, subscribe today, and then come back and watch next week's video. I do a giveaway every single week. As you can imagine, that's a lot of shipping. So Paper Wishes pays for my paper pack. They give me these papers, but I buy everything else on my own, pay for the shipping on my own across the country. That gets really expensive. So if you're so inclined and you would like to contribute to my shipping costs, there is a Buy Me a Cup of Coffee link down below the video, and there's also the YouTube Super Thanks, and you can contribute there. 100% of those funds go towards the shipping to the winner each week. I like to keep the winners, like, it's absolutely free. Follow me in my other social media. I like to do new and original videos on my other social media accounts that you might enjoy. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. Happy fall.